Good evening, everyone. Chapter 27, Running Home, by Foxgear, read by Icy Night. Canterlot gleamed in the morning sun as twilight dusk lamped along the sky. Smoke rolled out from under the ship as the crew did their best to keep the engines running. Overheat had been right when he said they wouldn't need the cooling system, but once they got away from the snowstorm, things got hot really quickly. Many of the internal parts were severely damaged as the cooling gems tried to catch up and cool the system, as some of the parts had begun to glow hot red. But the damage had already been done, and many parts were warped and overstressed from too much heat. The result was their reduced speed, as the ship would literally explode if they dared push her any harder. Why do they call ships a she? Applejack wondered aloud as she stood on the deck enjoying the warm yet cool morning, a far cry from yesterday's blizzard. As she inspected her crew, making sure every pony was okay or seeking treatment from their battle yesterday, her mind was scattered as she tried to make sense of yesterday's attack. Mammoths? That's the last tribe she had expected to fight, leading her to wonder what else might be coming. What other races had ponies crossed that were just itching for a chance to strike back? It was all over her head. Things she didn't know, nor could find out or do anything about. Yet she worried about them nonetheless, because the pony that did have to figure it all out was her friend. And Applejack knows how hard Luna will work to figure everything out for them. Still, she wished she could do more. The ship slowly came to a stop at the dock. Crews of ponies rushed out, no doubt concerned by the heavy damage as medics evacuated the more seriously injured. The ship anchored was engaged, allowing the engines to finally power down and give the crew a moment of relief. Really, Applejack thought for sure at least one of the engines was going boom below. "Every pony off the ship!" Fury yelled, carrying the closest ponies next to him onto the dock. Fire crews were dispatched, and water sprayed as the fire spread through the ship. It was spreading too fast. There was no way they could save it. "Let her go!" Applejack yelled over the crowd galloping for the locks. "Release it! Send it down the mountain before she explodes! Is every pony off?" Fury nodded as the last group escaped the glowing fireball. With a strong buck, Applejack released the ship's locks, letting the airship fall down the cliffside. She leaned over the edge to watch as the ship below blew apart and exploded into a huge firestorm. Applejack breathed a sigh of relief. At least they got every pony out in time, or this could have been much worse. Now there was a matter of, what has happened? Explaining this to Luna. "Howdy, Princess. We had, boom, some trouble along the way." Applejack chuckled nervously as a pillar of searing hot flame erupted behind her. "We have a lot to talk about." Luna looked down the mountainside at the flaming wreckage. "Indeed we do." They walked away from the crowds, letting the professionals and sub-commanders deal with the matter. Applejack explained how they routed the changelings, and then was attacked by the mammoths and some other strange entity. Overheat would need to be called in for more details, as he was the only one to see the mysterious Inkwing. He didn't seem very eager to talk about it on the rest of the way home, and Applejack let him be. I see your trip home was more exciting than predicted, but in all seriousness, I had not expected mammoths. To think they would rise up again. I had not thought they had the numbers. This makes the second strange event recently. Applejack gave her a puzzled look. What was the first? Mina sighed. As she explained, the Chimera attacked an Emerald and Crusader's defeat of the beast at the cost of an entire village and squad. I see. That's bad news. Very bad. Think it had anything to do with the mammoths? Mina shook her head, uncertain for the first time in a long time. I do not know, Applejack. Until Shadow Spectre returns, I'm afraid I can only guess at this point. Applejack came to a sudden stop. Wait, didn't Shadow Spectre go off to see the world with other Renin? Luna looked weirdly around, making sure no other pony was around. Well, that may be what he said he was doing, but he may actually be spying on other nations for me. Applejack blinked. What? Elsewhere. A group of 4, all different races, and all of them had 2 things in common. 1, they were royalty or leaders of their tribe, and 2, they all had bad history with Equestria. From left to right, the 4 sitting at the table were the Griffin King, Silverus, the Mammoth Chieftain, Largo, a Zebra Chiefess named Zelka, and lastly, a familiar and hated face, Dr. Hoofenstein. They spoke in quiet whispers, making it almost impossible to hear what they were saying. Needing to know what, Shadow Spectre moved through the wall for a better position. My friends, we gather today to rejoice in the first step in our path to victory, the attack by my Chimera and the lovely Lumai has the royal sisters looking every which way, but where they need to be looking. Rest assured our moment will come, and we will descend upon Equestria with the fury of 1,000 suns, and wipe it from this earth. Largo snorted loudly through his tusk. I hardly call losing some of my best warriors a small skirmish a step forward. Please explain to me how making us shoulder the blame will aid us in the coming battles. Hoofenstein frowned as he lowered his glass, taking note of the mood of the room. I'm sorry for your loss, my friend, but be assured it was not in vain. The royal sisters have not kept track of the Mammoth tribe for many moons. They know not your location, your civilization structure, or even the reason for the attack. They will have to take time to find you, and when they do, they will want to talk rather than fight. To try and understand and reason with you, buying us more time and the chance to strike. The mammoth scuffed. His bushy brows hiding his intense glare. What of Princess Luna? With her back in the picture, the Equestrians will be quicker to strike as they did in the past. Celestia is the peace talker. Luna is the one to bring the peace. If Luna is in charge of the assault, the chance to parley will be small. The Princess of the Night is not one to drag out a battle, as you personally have experienced, Hoofenstein. Hoofenstein coughed in his hoof. Yes, her attack on my compound was profound, with unexpected ferocity. But it is in defeat that we can find victory. We know how they act, and our spies are collecting everything without even a hint of suspicion. Right, my little friend? A small insect-like creature flew onto the table. Shadow Spectre glared at the blue bug pony, flew up to Hoofenstein's ear and spoke in some jibber-jabber language. I suppose that's expected. Thank you, my little friend. Largo, could you please smash that wall over there? There's a old test subject sneaking his muzzle where he shouldn't. How did he know I was here? Shadow Spectre wondered, making a break for it. He phased through the wall and ran down the corridor. The big mammoth barreling through the stone and mortar with an angry battle cry. His stomps shook the ground, and he wondered how it didn't fall out from beneath them. Turning right, Shadow phased through the dead and stumbling into a guard's room full of Griffin soldiers. He flashed them a smile as he trod past their bewildered faces into the next wall. The sound of Largo plowing through them was profound as their screech of pain bounced off the stone walls. Sometimes it was just too easy. Still, he kept up his pace, making quick and random turns through a number of walls to hide his trail. Eventually, when he had every pony running every other way, he sank to a lower level and carefully picked a hiding spot. He needs the heat to die down, or heat up in this case. The fortress had very little hiding places outside. The barren landscape made it easy to spot fleeing prisoners and spies. His only chance was to blend into the guards as they fanned out and searched for him. His need armor and squad of pony guards to join up with. Shadow finished placing the last piece of armor on, making sure his visor was lowered to hide his face. He liked being unique, but his face was too unique to hide in a crowd. Black and white weren't normal pony colors, and having white bone patterns was even less normal. A group of ponies formed up. He slipped in easily in the back, looking around. They all seemed to be earth ponies. Not surprising, really. Hoofenstein wasn't fond of other pony races. Still, there was something different about these ponies. Were they foreign? He listened to some of the guards muttering. Their language was hush and thick, but not unfamiliar. They were speaking German, Hoofenstein's native tongue. "Move out!" the commander yelled. As one, they marched out at a steady gallop, racing for the tree line ahead. This is it. This would be his chance to get away. Only something wasn't right. They weren't splitting off into smaller teams. In fact, they were surrounding him. Every way he looked, he was surrounded by ponies, even behind him. Something wasn't right. Did they know? 4 guards closed in on him. There was no doubt in Shadow's mind that they knew who he was. He saw a few preparing to attack, and they did. He sunk into the ground. The 4 collided and tripped up every pony behind them. However, he was barely halfway to the forest, and now they knew where he was, which was out in the open and alone. "Well, come on! Come get me if you dare!" he taunted, appearing in front of the group. His breath was slightly labored. He didn't have much magic left to phase for more than a few seconds. The first brave soul charged, and Shadow intended to make an example out of him. He reached up with his hoof and batted the pony's brain out of his skull, literally. His hoof phased through the pony's skull, and for a second he made a solid, grabbing the pony's brain and phasing it out of the skull. He tossed it aside as the pony's body dropped like a sack of potatoes. No pony dared get closer after that. Warily, Shadow backed away, keeping his eyes on the enemy in front of him. Up above, griffins circled the sky, and mammoths gathered at the castle gates. He didn't have much time. He was one, and they were many. How many phases did he have left in him? How long would they last? He was in deep, too deep this time. The forest was still at least a mile or so away. From there he could hide in a bush and hopefully get to the Everfree part of the forest. He'd still be long ways from home, but at least the wild magic of the Everfree would work against the bigger group. The forest didn't take well to large groups entering. Still, he had to reach it first. He pawed away faster, but ponies were keeping pace as griffins squawked above. Even the mammoths were catching up. It seems he was out of time. Shadow whirled around and made a run for it. Behind him, the ground rumbled as everything, pony, griffin, and mammoth, charged for him. Head down, eyes focused ahead, he ran for all he was worth. His muscles screamed and burned. He's never had to run this fast before. He was too focused that he didn't even notice he entered the tree line. Even as low-hanging branches and shrubs cut him, he just kept running, so focused on the path ahead. Shadow didn't bother watching his footing, and it would cost him. It would cost him dearly. He fell and skidded against the forest floor, his front right leg in agony. A tree root. A tree root would be his undoing. Hobbling on 3 legs, Shadow pushed on, being more careful of his footing as he ran towards the sound of water. Behind him, heard the shouts of his pursuers. How were they finding him so easily? The mouth of giant crocodile snapped up from the watery depths of the swamp, snatching up a fish mid-jump. It gave Shadow an idea. "There he is!" a griffin yelled above. Behind him, at least 20 ponies encircled him. He guessed the mammoths were having trouble getting through the forest. Letting his pursuers close in around him, Shadow jumped and landed on the crocodile's head. The beast roared up and snapped its powerful jaws. Shadow jumped again to another rock, causing the swarm to go into a frenzy. Ponies and griffins screamed as the crocodiles rushed the beach, snapping up ponies and griffins alike with their powerful jaws, ripping them to pieces while Shadow safely landed on the other bank and took off again. He pressed on for what seemed like hours, maybe more, his vision blurred from lack of sleep and exhaustion. His hoofsteps wavered and he stumbled, hitting his injured leg again. He hissed, biting back a scream as he bit on a fallen stick. The enemy could be anywhere, and he'd be darned if he gave away his position again. Shadow laid there for who knows how long. The ground was wet. Slowly, he righted himself and stood back up, his body stiff from lying down for so long. A thick mist surrounded him, so thick that he could barely see the trees in front of him. He licked his lips, tasting the wet air. He tasted magic. "Who's out there?" he demanded, flexing his claws in the dirt. He probably had enough magic for a few phases, but not many. His eyes twitched at the sound of a twig snapping. Phantoms danced around him, their silhouettes running circles around him. There were 5 total. A female voice chuckled. "Strong and wise is our prize before his demise. Yet the fates have yet to debate his fate. Answer a question to choose your destination, a life of pleasure or a life of pain. Choose swiftly before thy time runs dry." Rhyming, meaning zebras. Could be Zelka. "What do you want with me? Why have you not alerted the others?" The voice chuckled again. The soft musical of chants sang softly in the background. "Though we align with others, our goals differ by design. Conquest of the weak is not what we seek in our Amazon tribe, but males of strength and valor of the divine is our prize. Come with us, and you shall see. Or not, and die, where no pony will see." Amazons. The zebras of the Amazon basin? That's the tribe Zelka rules. He's heard of them. Their tribe is all mares, and they capture stallions from other tribes, but only ones they think are strong or have genetics they desire. From what he's heard, they are the only tribe to have Pegasus zebras, and probably even rarer, unicorn zebra. "You want to take me back to your tribe. Why?" "You walk on 2 planes, on the earth and in the spirit, an ability that would benefit us greatly." 2 planes. "You mean my phasing? I wasn't born with that. I don't even know if it can be passed on. You're wasting your time. Now get out of my way, or I'll make you." Zelka chuckled again. It was getting annoying. Whether or not the power of the 2-plane walker can be passed on is not of significance. Your skills and cunning are more than enough without it. If I'm reading you right, you'll let me live if I come and be your impregnator for a while? Correct. Now if you refuse, the sentence is death. Well, that made the choice easy. Fine, but only if I can get my message to Princess Luna. After that, I'm all yours. There was no reply right away, but the mist began clearing, and Zilka stepped out from the tree line with a small grin. Your terms are agreeable, but you will not be delivering them. Tell my eldest daughter Zell what must be spoken to the Moonbringer, and she'll deliver it. Zella was an average-looking zebra, save for the wings folded at her sides. A Pegasus zebra. Never thought he'd see one. Fine. Tell Luna. Zella listened intently to the message, writing the important parts down before taking flight. Shadow just hoped he could trust them to keep their word as the Amazons led him onto a raft, set to take him to the sea, and from there, zebra country. He wondered if he would ever return home. Back at base. This is not good, Hoofenstein. Our scouts reported nothing. Undoubtedly the spy escaped and now on his way to the Royal Sisters. The plan is foiled, Silverus proclaimed with worry. He's risked so much with this alliance, going against the sisters like his forefathers before him. Perhaps his son was right. This was foolishness. Hoofenstein stood with his back to him, the pony looking intently at the wall. He'd seen this pose before. Hoofenstein made it often when he was deep in thought. The earth pony paced the floor, looking stressed. There is a way we could still work in our favor, Hoofenstein said aloud. Come on, Silverus. I will show you my secret weapon. Once you see it, I'm sure your faith will be stand fast. He was uncertain of Hoofenstein's claim, but nonetheless, Silverus followed the earth pony deep into the bowels of the forest. They descended further and further, the air becoming almost freezing cold as they approached the lowest level. There, they came to a door. In the Battle Rainbow Factory, I acquired something very precious from Princess Luna. Something that has allowed my research to progress farther and faster than ever before. And what was that? Cerberus asked as Hoofenstein filled with a number of locks. A lot of locks. What did he have in there? From inside a chilling whiny echoed. It was cold and filled with anger. The doors swung open, and Hoofenstein wordlessly waved him into the room. The room was dark. Silverus could barely make out the shape of the being locked inside. A flash of metal caught in the light, revealing razor-sharp teeth, dripping with saliva. The creature was tall and slender and definitely equine. It whined and reared up, pulling at its chains, spreading its massive wings to touch the walls of the small room. A spark fell from above, and he looked up to see a long pointed object scraping against the ceiling. This couldn't be what he thought. Could it? Lanterns flickered to life, revealing the creature, its coat pitch black, and its mane danced with ethereal energy. There was no doubt about it. It was an alicorn. that looked just like Luna. King Silverus, might I introduce you to subject LC-4, created from the bits of King Sombra's DNA, with a hint of bat and dragon and a dash of Princess Luna's blood. LC-4, Luna's... You don't mean this creature is... Wolfenstein smiled. Indeed. A copy of Princess Luna. The 4th copy to be exact, but she's taken name of her own choosing. That thing can speak? Wolfenstein smiled, nodded, and undid the bridle, letting the copy alicorn speak. Go ahead, say your name, dear. Dark blue eyes glared at them as the alicorn snarled at the both of them. Nightmare Moon. My name is Nightmare Moon, the one true ruler of Equestria. To be continued. We are so close to the end. I dare say we're going to be done with this reading by the end of December. Maybe sooner. That's only chapter 27 of 34. And we just got to Nightmare Moon. I don't know. I don't know. I can't say anything else at this point. I can't without spoilers. Me, I'm one for spoilers. I research, I look up all the details I can about certain fanfics, new episodes coming out, new movies, what critics say, what other people are saying. You know, because it all comes down to you, really. It really does. But my personal opinion on this chapter, beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I wish when MOP was first coming out, instead of Luna's rage and jealousy for her sister and trying to make the Eternal Night, I wish they did something more like this. You know, maybe Luna was captured and replaced by, you know, an evil clone. You know, yeah, I know, cliche, I know, whatever. But something along those lines. Make the story more meaningful. Yes, they can still make it about friendship and what it means to, you know, do what's right. You know, figure puzzles out. Find out why she was copied, why she was replaced. You know, make a storyline that way. That would have been like awesome. I think, my personal opinion. But no. So yeah, Nightmare Moon. Tell me your thoughts on this chapter. What you like, what you didn't like. Again, this is Icy Night. Wishing you guys a very good night.